Thank you everyone for joining us at the Robotics Alley Expo stage. I'm Leili Fatehi, owner and principal at Apparatus, and we will be live streaming interviews with speakers and panelists throughout the next 2 days, speaking with them about the legal, ethical, social, and policy dimensions of robotics and advanced manufacturing. And you can join the conversation through social media using the hashtag RoboticsAlleyVPF, and you can find the schedule for the interviews we'll be doing throughout the 2 days on our website, apparatusmn.org. And I'm joined right now by the Robotics Alley Conference Chair, Nilesh Mohan. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I think we're going to spend much of the next 2 days looking at an issue that you really touched on during your opening remarks of the conference, and that is, how much, to what extent do we view robotics as being, revolutionary and disruptive versus viewing it as being more evolutionary and perhaps additive in terms of either values or implications? And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And in general, change brings disruption, and the only constant is change. And my take on that is there is space for both. There is evolutionary change, and there is a disruptive change. There's also some discussion and some work around the bigger innovative change. The bigger the innovative change it is, the more disruptive it is. Mm-hmm. So as I see it, there's probably space for both continued evolutionary change, iterative improvements, but also the disruptive change. Specifically speaking about robotics, it started off as just application of IT and digital information, and it's continued to progress. And then more recently, with more macroeconomic changes happening, plus investments in sensors and LiDAR, which is the vision technology, the cost has reduced, and that's where we see widespread usage for robotics to the point where they can be disruptive. Even automation, which was invented about 10 years back, and the automation that was prevalent, much of them are already obsolete, and we will probably not be seeing them in the near future as well.
And do you see a role in our policies or in our laws for helping to sort of manage the speed at which this kind of change is happening, or perhaps scenarios where we try to use our law and policy to manage change and perhaps we end up with unintended consequences or slowing down innovation that would otherwise be beneficial? Wondering about your thoughts.
It's a great question, and I think Jacob touched upon it, just the automation ethics. And I'd be the first to admit that I'm not knowledgeable enough to share on that topic. But it's a really imperative that we think about a society in which robotics are a norm. We think about what does it mean for our society, what implication does it have. I have small kids, 5 years old, 2 years old. As they grow up, they will be seeing things which I never did. What implications are there for them? And I think that is an important part where all of us are part of it as a society, our legislators, our industry, and as well as innovators and engineers. It's a great point.
Now you represent Target. I'm wondering, what is Target's approach to innovation and
Yeah, so to share some, it's so my background, just to share, is I'm a mechanical engineer from India. Was really fortunate to get an opportunity to come work here. After my business school, worked with some consulting companies, and Target invested in me. Through my career, I've had multiple people and organizations who invested in me, and they've helped me coach and mentor. And as I think about Robotics Alley and what it's trying to do, this is the 6th year, I think this is in some way my way of sort of being associated with it in trying to inspire, mentor, coach individuals, specifically around STEM. I'm an engineer, I'm biased, and trying to provide an avenue for them to be able to sort of grow and have good role models. And doing so, I think that value is highly representative within Target as well. right? For me, like that's where like the mix of values as a company, we invest in the communities we serve. We continue to give 5% back of our profits, which is about 4 million on a week-to-week basis, and a company which allows me and supports me in an ability to be in sort of use this panel and this session. So that's what I admire about company, as well as that's what's a big mix between their cultural values and mine as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I know we'll be speaking with you again at the beginning of tomorrow to catch up again about how the conference is going.